All right, we might as well.
10 seconds.
Yeah. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You could probably stay right there when we do the party. I can still see.
Oh, you can?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Just a reminder to silence your cell phones. We'll start with roll call.
Mayor Sherman,
Here.
Councilor Basil,
Here.
Councilor Gorell, Councilor Lundstrom,
Here.
Councilor Scalisi,
Here.
Councilor Spradlin,
Here.
Councilor Tyree.
Here.
Number 3, approval of the agenda. Do we have any additions or corrections on the agenda tonight?
I do have 2 changes to make in work session to remove the Prairie Trails Park overview and the IT services discussion.
Okay.
We'll look to add those to next meeting and be more prepared for those at that time.
Perfect. All right, so I look for a motion to approve the agenda with those changes.
I move we approve the agenda for regular meeting March 11th, 2024 with the changes. Second.
Any discussion? Roll call vote.
Councilor Lundstrom,
Yes.
Councilor Basil,
Yes.
Councilor Spradlin,
Yes.
Councilor Scalisi,
Yes.
Councilor Tyree,
Yes.
Mayor Sherman.
Yes. That motion passes. Approval of the minutes. Do we have any corrections on the minutes for last meeting? If not, I'd look for a motion to approve.
I move we approve the regular meeting of February 12th, 2024.
Second.
Any discussion? That doesn't, didn't we have
That's
a
not
meeting?
right. I'm so sorry. That should be February 26th.
Okay. I thought we had another meeting in February. Okay. All right, so for February 26th, roll call vote.
Councilor Tyree,
Yes.
Councilor Scalisi,
Yes.
Councilor Spradlin,
Yes.
Councilor Basil,
Yes.
Councilor Lundstrom,
Yes.
Mayor Sherman.
Yes. All right, that motion passes. All right, visitors and delegations, citizen comments. Citizens are invited to speak to council on any item that does not have a public hearing scheduled. There's a 5-minute time limit per person unless otherwise noted by the mayor. Please note that no formal action will be taken on an item that's not on the posted agenda due to the open meeting law provision. However, they may be placed on a future posted agenda if action is required. To better assist you with questions, please submit them in writing to the city clerk and someone from staff will respond. All right, I know we have a couple of you here for some public comments. Let's introduce yourself.
My name is Nathan Trout, and I am a Morgan County Commissioner candidate for District 1. Just want to introduce myself. I'm running basically to try to help make Morgan County better, and I want ideas and suggestions from all of you. So if you ever have any ideas or suggestions, God gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth, and we listen more than we speak. So I definitely want to make sure that brush is included in any discussion with anything that we have. A little background on me. Farm 800 acres with my brothers south of Wiggins, Colorado. We farm corn, hay, and alfalfa. And so definitely, we definitely have a connection here with agriculture in Brush. I know I can remember going back with my dad and my mom. They'd pick us up at school and we'd head over to the livestock exchange, and we'd sit there all night and listen to cow sales. And so there's definitely that connection between Brush and myself. And I want to make sure that there's, like I say, if there's any questions that we have, just let me know. I'm on the Morgan County Planning and Zoning Commission, so I want to make sure that we work together. So I just want to briefly give you my card. These cards won't get you any drinks anywhere, sorry. So unfortunately, but again, I'm here, pretty much 24/7. So if you ever have any need to chat about anything, please feel free to do so. And
Thank you.
that's about it. Just wanted to take up too much of your time. And thanks again. I appreciate all your work and your service on the council. I know being on governing boards, I was on the school board as well as serving on the Noxious Weeds Advisory Committee at the state level and the county level with one of your fine employees. And again, Morgan County Planning and Zoning, so I appreciate all the support that you guys have. And again, any questions, let me know.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good luck to you. All right, next.
Mayor, council members, my name's Dusty Johnson. I'm running to be your next House representative for District 63. District 63 has 7 counties: Morgan, Logan, Phillip, Sedgwick, Washington, and Yuma. The reason I'm running is because everybody is so good at what they're doing that they can't come to the table. If you don't come to the table, you don't eat, or you're left out of poly discussions. A lot of those regulations coming out from the state level are affecting our way of life out here, not just in Brush, but in Julesburg, Sedgwick, any of these counties that were represented in the Northeast. So we need a voice for rural Colorado. We need someone at the Capitol. I can't do a lot of what I wanted to do. If you can't do it, you teach it or you advocate for it. So a little bit about me. I grew up in Fort Morgan. Don't hold it against me here in Brush because our soccer teams had to play together. We didn't have enough ladies to make a full team. And I might have moved from the lifeguarding in Fort Morgan to Brush because I liked your pool system better. So, and a fun fact is I tried to work for your team. I had an application here about 4 or 5 years ago wanting to be your administration or a clerk. Got beat out by other people, which everything happens in God's timing and plan, but never applied to the city of Fort Morgan. So hopefully that gives me some credit, because we have to make fun of the, beat diggers and the Mustangs. But really, so I had a plan that I was going to get my EMS when I was in high school, which I did. I applied to West Point. I was nominated and accepted. 6 to 8 weeks before I was able to ship out to West Point to serve, my leg gave out. As soon as anything medical happens, you are listed. Luckily, my scores were high enough, they gave me 1 year to get better. So during that 1 year, I was looking at things like cadet programs, playing soccer at Regis University, trying to stay in shape so I could still hit all those bar requirements for West Point. And then my leg gave out again. I was diagnosed with a rare disease tumor that was very aggressive. I ended up having 7 surgeries within the span of a 1.5 years because it just grew back so fast and it was eating away at everything. So I quickly learned how messed up our healthcare system is from a first-hand point of view. Ended up getting into a chemo trial system where they really just pushed me in like a guinea pig. And then after that, it still came back and I have a total knee replacement. But even with my first operation 8 years ago, I'm still getting a billing. And that is not fair to our patients, that if you buy a car, you get everything up front or you have a payment plan. I had a payment plan as the patient, but the insurance company and the hospitals can still send bills so many years out, and that's not right. So one of my 4 platforms is healthcare for patient advocacy and making it run more efficiently for them. I do believe you do have to pay your bills, but there needs to be transparency in those bills and those costs. Also running on agricultural values. I did grow up on a hobby farm with goats, chickens, some horses, and pigs, but not enough to ever be self-sufficient. So I was a rented hand. I learned how to AI and FFA. I've welded, I've done fencing, I've driven Columbine. But as you all know, when you work for some other farm, if they have a family disagreement, if the next generation doesn't want to take that production up, whoever the rented hands are, you're not guaranteed for the next season. So again, I couldn't do what I wanted to do, and so I want to advocate for those doing that. I also want to promote our rural values. I want to help say that when we get transportation funds, they're not going to EV, they're actually going to fix our potholes. When we're looking at broadband, I know Allo's coming here and having a grand opening in Brush, but what about those people in the middle of nowhere, 15, 20 miles out from the municipality, that some businesses just don't think they need service? And looking at ways to work maybe GPS into that. I've been working with Lockheed Martin, which we partnered and got them out here to Morgan County for manufacturing job opportunities. And I've also been at the Air Force Base a couple of times looking at their GPS satellites, seeing what ways can we get back on the grid out here for a more efficient, cheaper option. We also do need to look at water planning. Storage is something we need. I've worked 8 years in government. We're not going to get the funds for storage because I don't understand it, but we can look at storage different if we make an aquifer deeper, if we explain what prior appropriations is, if we explain water rights and that some of these farmers can keep their wells while they are trying to shut down our wells at the state. And just being that voice of reason, so hopefully that Nebraska doesn't keep buying land from Colorado to take our waters out of state. So we need someone that can look at all of that. I have some federal knowledge working at the federal level for 4.5 years, then at the state level for 3.5. I believe in grunt work. I believe you work your way from the bottom up. I don't want to go in and get a title and not know what any of this means, which is why I decided I'd be a staffer, an intern, an aide. doing all this when I come in. They can't tell me what I have to do. I tell them what the people are telling me. So really just hoping to be that voice. If you have questions, personal cell phone. Brother thinks I'm crazy. I put my personal home address there, but if people want to find it when you live in this kind of community, they're going to find it. Or if I order pizza, they can't find my house anyway, so I think that's good. Thank you. So thank you for your guys' time. I'm excited to see what you have on the agenda. Proud to say I'm in every single one of my counties at least every 2 weeks, if not more. So if there's something happening, Rush is not that far away, so it's going to be a lot easier to get out here.
For everybody watching online, you're doing a Q&A here in town, aren't you?
Yes.
At
Yeah,
the-
trying to get everywhere I can. Brew and Chew and any other options. Been doing op-eds in the paper, doing podcasts.
When's the Q&A?
That one just happened. Trying to get my opponent to do one. Not really excited to do it, so I'm hoping they just give me the opportunity to do it myself.
Okay.
So people can have questions. I'd love for everyone to see all options. If that happens, that would be amazing. If not, I still am trying to push to do it myself.
Cool.
So I'll get you that information.
Awesome. Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dusty. Good luck to you.
Thank you.
All right. Move on to management. Dale, it's your turn.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. As we're aware, CDOT has been working in Morgan County to upgrade I-76 over the last decade or so, and the last recently completed phase was Phase 3, and that was in that 2015-2016 time window. And since then, funding has been really tough and very competitive to get a hold of, and the most recent award was the Phase 4, which is out here at I-76 and Highway 6. They're going to reconstruct the bridges over the Beaver Creek, the railroad, and redo that intersection, put a park and ride out in that area, and do a lot of that work. A lot of this funding came, actually we did get the CDOT did get funding for this just recently within the last couple of months, and a lot of that funding would not have been possible without the support of the communities out here, with these letters of support, specifically the towns and the county and the like. And so CDOT is very appreciative with the letters of support that they have received. There recently became a funding opportunity for CDOT and Region 4 to look at Phase 5, which is out there in Fort Morgan, that last section of Fort Morgan that has not been upgraded. And there's some bridge money available to rebuild the bridge there at Highway 52 or Main Street and I-76. That bridge is in really scary shape. And with that, they are asking the city if they would be willing to provide a letter of support in order for them to obtain this funding to help rebuild that bridge. It's not a complete section of Phase 5, but at least it's a portion of it. And so with that, staff would recommend that council will have the mayor sign a letter of support that we can turn into CDOT and kind of reciprocate some of that support that they gave us over this Phase 4 as well as Phase 3.
52 is the one that goes up to Morgan Heights.
Yes,
Okay.
correct.
Do you know when the construction on the Highway 6 one is going to start happening?
Yes, actually, they're looking at hopefully awarding the contract this September.
Okay.
So it's this fall. It will be a 2-year project. They're going to do like they did before. They will move all the traffic over to one lane, and it'll be head-to-head. And so hopefully they're going to award sometime in November. Then in spring is when we'll move the traffic over, go head-to-head. And then they have to do their work. They can't go head-to-head in the wintertime. So then what'll happen is they will then at that point open it back up. And then in next spring in 26, move it head-to-head on the other side and get that rebuilt. And this is really kind of an important section of highway. I mean, it covers the Beaver Creek, and with that, CDOT has done a really good job of studying the Beaver Creek floodplain and making sure that whatever construction they do does not create an obstacle in order to back the floodwaters up in the brush. So, but that's for the Phase 4. This here letter of support will be for the Phase 5. Yeah.
Cool.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dale. All right, with that, I would look for a motion on this one.
I move that we authorize the mayor to sign a letter of support for the I-76 and Highway 52 bridge replacement in Fort Morgan by CDOT.
A second.
Any discussion? Roll call vote.
Counselor Spradlin?
Yes.
Counselor Scalise?
Yes.
Counselor Tyree?
Yes.
Counselor Basil?
Yes.
Counselor Lundstrom?
Yes.
Mayor Sherman?
Yes. All right, move on to finance.
I move we approve disbursements and payroll for February 27th, 2024 through March 11th, 2024, totaling $738,731.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call vote.
Counselor Basil,
Yes.
Counselor Scalisi,
Yes.
Counselor Tyree,
Yes.
Counselor Lundstrom,
Yes.
Counselor Spradlin,
Yes.
Mayor Sherman.
Yes. Motion passes. Staff reports. Tyler Purvis, Assistant Administrator, Community Development Director.
Madam Mayor, City Council, good evening. I know I typically have a pretty long laundry list, so tonight I'll keep it fairly simple. Just two things. One, the last couple of weeks, most of our staff has been out at various trainings, professional development trainings. So I guess I just say that simply. One, to thank council for supporting budgets that allow our staff to do that, to better themselves so they can be more effective in their roles. And then two, the information that they bring back, of course, is very applicable. As an example, this past week, there is an annual meeting, the International Code Council, over in Loveland, and so 3 of the 5 in our office were there for that all week. Their heads were bursting at the seams with all the amount of information that was put into them, but a lot of good information we can implement so we can better effectively work with contractors, homeowners when it comes to different projects that they want to do around town. Number 2 is that we met with the school district, we being staff, and then the mayor was there as well with a couple school district board members this past week to talk about the traffic study that they received a number of weeks ago. That went through staff, and we all gave our perspective and comments and met on that. And so we met for a little over an hour this past week. It was a real solid meeting. I recapped all of that in a follow-up email to everybody that was involved, just all the basic things that we talked about. Essentially, the city had talked about the good parts about the study, as well as the areas that we thought needed improvement or didn't address like we initially were expecting it to. A lot of different factors involved with that, but our plan is to regroup just in a couple of weeks and then start putting together the next steps so we can bring it right across the finish line, hopefully sooner than later. So again, it was very positive and productive, and we'll keep you guys apprised as we go forward. I know that's very, very vague, but that's pretty much it. Any questions?
Were you able to get a hold of the people who actually did the study, or did you say that? And you said the school board was there, but I know you guys were trying to find out. Yeah.
No, I did not. So one of the things, the firm that did it, he was facing health issues through that, and I went on Google to look it up actually the day that we met this past week. And if you ever look on a business that's closed, it says permanently closed on there. So I'm not sure what the status is of that. We can certainly reach out and see if they're interested. But there was another firm that was involved early on, and we don't know what happened with them, if they were actually involved the whole process or not. But one of the school board members was going to reach out to that firm and see what their role was and everything to understand, and then see if they can actually help us get those last pieces that we're missing.
Cool.
Is it possible to get that email that you sent out recapping the meeting? Is that
I think
possible?
so. Yeah, there's nothing.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'd be interested in reading that just
Sure.
to see kind of what's going on.
Yeah, it's real general, but
That's fine.
it's got just bullet points of the main topics what we talk about in some.
That'd be great.
Yeah, we can do that.
You could probably even, if you wanted to send them the
The study
slideshow.
itself. I'm sorry.
The slideshow
The
that you did?
slideshow. Oh, yeah, our comments.
I'd appreciate that.
Sure,
Thank you.
absolutely.
If you send it to me, I'll give it
Yeah, I'll just forward it right on. I'll do it right now.
Right on, Tyler.
All right, thank you.
Good. Thank you, Tyler. Brandon Fluxsteiner, Chief of Police.
Evening, everyone. So I apologize I missed the last meeting. Unfortunately, I had something come up at home that I couldn't get away from. Things I have for tonight, some good news about staffing stuff and then some operational stuff. So we promoted Jared Barham to patrol sergeant. So we had some decent testing that took half a day roughly. And only choice between Nathan Kreis and Jared Barham, and Jared presented very well during a pretty lengthy process, so we're happy to have him in the position he is. He's got a few years on with the department, and he's done really, really well, so we're excited to have him in that position. So we also hired Takaya Dabbs. She was formerly with Fort Morgan Police Department. She had a couple of years there, so she just started with us a couple weeks ago, so she's only a couple weeks in their FTO process, but we're very happy to have her on board. With that, we continue to move closer to potentially getting fully staffed. So with Takaya and the Academy Cadet, Katie, as well as Damien being FTO, We're down to 2 open spots, so I'm looking at advertising for some academy positions in July. So hopefully we get a couple of good applicants, and then academy, I believe, starts in mid-July, and we'll be about a few months there. So hopefully by the end of 2024, we're potentially looking at being fully staffed, which hasn't happened since 2019. So it's been a long road coming, but I think it's continued to make proper steps to move forward to it, so I'm very happy to see that. A couple of operational things, so we're finally getting in-car camera systems. We did, with your approval, did a capital outlay plan with Axon Fleet 3. So we're looking at getting 4 of our cars outfitted. It'll be in the middle of next week, so coming next week we'll have in-car systems that also have LPR license plate readers inside of them as well. So help get the continued motor vehicle theft issue, which seems pretty prominent in the state of Colorado. So hopefully that'll help kind of establish some of that. We also applied for a grant through Colorado Bureau of Investigations for the Persons Who Wander grant that gave us full coverage for a drone that we were looking at trying to acquire. So we should be able to get that hopefully in the next few months to kind of help establish and use that in some different facets, investigations, some other means. So I'm pretty excited about it, and I think it'll be beneficial for the community. I've also talked to my staff about also helping out the fire department and using it in any other means that we possibly can to make full function of it. So other than that, any questions, concerns? Very good. I'll
Thank
give it
you.
over for anybody else. Thank you.
All right, Dale Colbert, Director of Public Works.
Unfortunately, I don't have the little clicker, so I may ask you the next slide for me, please. This last Thursday, we just kind of bring just up to date. This is not going to be lengthy, trust me, but just bring you up to date with the speed limit issue and speeding that's occurring around the library. I know that the library had requested some stop signs, and staff feels that stop signs are not the answer. And so one of the things we are looking at is a speed limit study. And so we're using pretty much the methods and practices for setting speed limit study. Please, next slide. And this is put together by, the FHWA. So these methods that we're looking at do have at least some sort of good information and limit setting standards behind that. And so next slide, please. So what we've done up to date, just to bring you up to date, is we've selected the study of methodology. There's about 4 of them, and plus a couple subsets. We're looking at a hybrid. But the thing is to determine the issue at hand. Does the study require a small or a large type sampling? And then select that method for collecting that data. We did that with cooperation with Morgan County, using very discrete radar detecting equipment that was data logging the vehicles that were coming through. That's where we selected the location. We planned the data collection preparations with Morgan County. We selected several days throughout different streets to look at the speed limits and what is really happening in that area. And we completed that pre-study documentation, and that was given to us from Chief. He received that, and then it was provided to Public Works as well as the library. And so to complete the study, we've collected the data, we've evaluated it, and so now our next step would have been to calculate the speed percentiles. And one of the things that we were looking at is probably looking at putting a speed limit of 25 mile an hour on some of those streets. And so with that, that's where we're at, is to develop those limits, which really won't harm the traffic in and around that area, because, and Chief can correct me if I'm wrong, but typically most people were doing 20, 25 anyway. So it's not like we're going to have a huge impact if we actually post it as a 25. Keep in mind, our city streets are 30 mile an hour by default. So by bringing it down to 25, it shouldn't be too much of an issue. And so one of the things we have to really be careful about is that we don't impact our law-abiding citizens for the bad behavior of a few unlawful citizens who are not abiding by the law. And that's one of those balances you have to strike. Whatever you do, you don't want to make it look like you're having some sort of punitive measure to our law-abiding citizens. And so, again, we want to be more educational going about this than we are going to be punitive. So we'll have some radar feedback signs that will just give you an idea of how fast you're going. And if you're going over the accepted speed limit, then it will flash at you that, hey, this is your speed, and it'll just give you an opportunity to look down. Sometimes we get distracted, we get our tunnel vision on, we don't realize that maybe we're going faster than what we should be for the area. And so that's kind of where we're at this point. Council did approve for us to get some radar feedback signs in capital improvements, and so we will be looking at this. The next step is to actually get out there and engage the people in the neighborhood. If the people in the neighborhood, if they don't accept it, and if you don't get them on board with this, then it's going to be, it's a difficult sale. So that's kind of where we're at. We're still moving forward, but that's currently where we're sitting at this point. And any questions?
You think it's a tough sell for them to slow down?
No, because they're already slow anyway.
Yeah, okay.
It's for the people that are not paying attention, and all of a sudden they're doing, I think the highest speed limit we had through some of those intersections was like 37 miles an hour.
Oh.
So, it's just a quick reminder, hey,
Yeah.
you're going a little faster than what you
Oh,
should be.
they work. The one by Akron catches me.
I think what their main concern was there, it's not so much just the daily people that are driving through there, it's the people that turn it into a drag strip from Emerson to Mill. And then the fact that those next two intersections aren't controlled, that's where there's always that issue.
Sure.
It's a few people.
Yes.
I mean, I live right there on the corner, so I can almost tell you the vehicles that do it.
Yeah, and I'll be knocking on your door to get your support with this.
No, you got my support. I don't think it'll be a tough sell in the neighborhood, really, because there's a lot of kids in that neighborhood, people that live in the houses too, so it's,
Sure.
as much
Yes.
as we can get traffic to slow down, I think it,
Yeah, and in talking with Laura at the director at the library, there was some routes that kids were taking in order to get to the library from Thompson, and so we were looking at maybe if you take this route here where there are controlled intersections, maybe that'll kind of help out a bit too. Also looking at future projects with their playground, maybe add a little more protection for kids who might be in their playground.
is there a children at play sign there?
That's one of the worst things you can do.
Is there really?
Yes, because it'll give kids a false sense of security, same with parents.
Oh,
So that's what you have to be careful about too. Well, I've heard about crosswalks, what about these signs? Gives a false sense of security. And the same with stop signs. If people don't want to pay attention to them, they'll run them. They
Yeah.
do it all the time. And in fact, Chief, you can correct me if I'm wrong, they tend to have more accidents at the controlled intersections with stop signs than those that are not. So, we don't want to increase that accident frequency
Yeah.
by putting in stop signs. So,
Can you tell me which streets you're planning to reduce the speed limit on?
we are looking at Cameron and Everett. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that same intersection.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
makes
that's
sense.
good.
And so, once we finalize our speed limit zone, I'll be coming back and giving you an update, letting you know our progress on that and what we're looking at. But we need to first, like I say, engage with the citizens. But the one thing I wanted to assure you more than anything else, with our litigious society, we have to be very careful that we are documenting everything and doing everything by the book, and we have good, sound reasons for doing what we're doing. And that's why we are taking this very slowly and looking at all our options. So. Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you, Neil.
All right, next item will be just coming up this Wednesday. As you know, we are currently doing crack sealing, and we are fixing and repairing some of these wide, large cracks throughout the city in preparation for our later preservation project. Another activity we're going to be taking on is over on Clayton Street in the 500 and 600 blocks. We have a lot of that old slurry seal that's popping up and it's loose. And so we'll have a contractor in on Wednesday morning, and we're going to plane off all that old slurry seal, at which point then we'll be able to take in, repair any bad patches, do some crack sealing, and hopefully repair some curb and gutter. Now, it will leave grooved pavement for a while, but eventually, later on in the year, when we do the rest of the slurry sealing throughout the city, we'll cover that up with slurry seal, and it'll look very much sort of like what you see in front of Central School, where we actually did that on a smaller scale. And so just be prepared that we'll be doing that. So we're still moving forward with our street repair projects. And then finally, I know the front office has been getting a lot of calls about spring cleanup with the beautiful weather, people getting out there, wanting to get things done with spring cleanup. Again, as always, it's the first full week of May, which is May 6th through 10th. And we do have, of course, certain restrictions that we'll be putting out. For example, we can't take oil or hazardous materials or anything like that. If we take tires, we have to have a prepayment. If we take mattresses, we have to have prepayment. Car batteries, prepayment. Appliances, prepayment. Regular electronics, if you set that off separately, we can take those. But if they're going to be TVs, depending if it's the old style tube type, then that can be anywhere from $20 to $40 because that's what the landfill charges us. And then if it's a flat screen, it's a $15 charge, which has to be prepaid before we pick it up. So, but we'll get everything more formalized, but just bringing it up to your attention in case you get asked, it's still the first full week of May, the 6th through the 10th. So, okay, that's it. Questions, comments? Thank you.
Thanks, Dale. All right, Joanne Gosling, Finance
I
Director.
have nothing this evening.
All right. Miranda Packard, City Clerk.
The only thing I'm going to report on tonight is the liquor license application that we have had a hearing on. Tonight was the last of that hearing, and the local liquor authority did decide to grant that with conditions, and they will be following up with City Attorney Dan Krob to make sure that those conditions are met before that is supplied to them. That's all I have.
Very good. Thank you very much. Dan Krob, City Attorney.
I have nothing to report tonight.
Okay. Monty Torres, City Administrator.
Few items. One is number 7 Circle Drive, the house that was been burned down for a few years, or partially burned. Dan and I had received an email, kind of a proposal on how to, for short term, just clean up the outside of the property until it changes ownership. And in most cases, we always try and get the owners to take care of that, or their insurance companies. However, on that one, the owner's deceased, and so it's taken a little bit longer than what we planned, but we have a proposal. We'll be visiting about that later this week, and then we'll start moving on that cleanup. Also, now that Patrick is back from his training, we're going to regroup again, and we want to continue working with the volunteer fire department on some of the projects that they have on their list. And that was from a previous discussion that we had with council about we're going to try and help them move some of their projects forward. Also today, I met with the Colorado Parks and Wildlife, their regional manager, and they have engineering funds available to start planning for their regional office, an actually stick-built office, versus the temporary ones that they've been operating out of. And there's a couple sites that we're looking at, and we're going to evaluate 2 different sites and see which one fits better for them. Dale's provided me part of the information we needed from the city's end, a little more we need from Hospital Road, and then I'll forward that to them and they can start working with their engineers on it. At a future date, I'll come back and more probably a discussion, well, it'll probably be an open discussion, but we'll talk about the parcels of land that we're looking at are city-owned. So we have to see what type of partnership we can form with CPW on those. And then the other thing is, probably by next week, Loranda and I will work together on identifying council retreat dates. For the most part, just some updates that we want to provide, and some of the department heads as well, but also having some initial discussions now, earlier this year, start planning for what type of priorities we might be needing to look at before we get into budget time. So probably 2 retreats that we'll do for this upcoming year. And that's all I have.
Very good. Thank you. Mayor and council reports. Do any councilors have anything to report?
I had somebody actually ask me, going along the lines of the 7 Circle, about the duplex or whatever it is on Colorado.
Oh, so good news on that one is they're already working with Tyler, communicating on a cleanup plan for that property as well.
Okay, good.
Yeah, they had to, insurance was a big part of it, finding out what they would and would not cover, and then the asbestos process to make sure it's clean before they demo it, and they got that clearance to do that. So they're gonna be getting a contractor shortly and then demoing that property.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Yep.
During the last housing board meeting we had, it was discussed that the housing board was looking to purchase a used but new to them utility truck. So I raised my hand and said that I would check with some entities around town, and I checked with the city, and thought you said you might check with.
Yeah, we have staff in the morning.
Okay,
So
perfect.
we'll address it.
Okay, all right.
And the question is, do we have any four-wheel drive vehicles that we might be able to donate or low cost or
local-
something
Yeah, something like that.
to the housing authority? So we'll talk about it in the morning.
Appreciate that.
Anybody else? I don't think I have anything either that hasn't already been talked about, so. So on that, I would look for a motion to adjourn and move into work session.
I move that we adjourn.
Anybody?
I move that we adjourn.
Second.
All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, we are adjourned and we'll